Leah Khan reached the lake cabin just before sunset on a mild Friday. The road became narrow near the water. Tall pines stood like old guards on both sides. The air smelled clean and a little sweet, like rain and wood. She slowed the car and smiled. This was the place her late uncle loved. He had called it the quiet at the edge of the day. Leah parked under the big maple tree and listened to the lake for a moment. Gentle waves touched the shore. The wind made a soft sound in the leaves. It felt like a calm welcome. The cabin was small, with a porch that faced the water and a dock that reached out like a finger into the lake. The boards were newer now, smooth and safe, because a storm had damaged the dock in early spring. Leah had taken care of that with a licensed local contractor and the right county permits. She had also touched up the porch paint to match the original color. It was a soft, weathered green, the same shade as in old family photos. She believed she had followed the rules. She was careful about rules. As an IT project manager, she lived by checklists and timelines. She liked order. She liked things to make sense. She stepped onto the porch with her weekend bag and paused. 2 bright notices were taped to the front door. Her first thought was that they were ads or menus from a local restaurant, but the paper was stiff and official. The HOA logo sat at the top. Lakeside Bluffs, a circle around a stylized pine and wave. Leah set her bag down and read the first notice. Unapproved exterior change, it said in bold letters. The message said the porch color had been altered, without permission. It mentioned a fine of $100 per day until she cured the violation. The second notice said, unsafe dock, and warned of immediate action if she did not allow inspection and comply. Leah felt her chest tighten. The words were sharp and cold. She read them again slowly. She looked at the porch. She looked at the dock. They were both safe and neat. The paint was not new in color. It was just fresh. The dock had brand new supports and a clean edge, done by a professional, exactly as the county permit allowed after storm damage. She reached into her tote for her phone. She took photos of the notices. She took photos of the door, the porch, the railings, the dock, and the shoreline. She took photos of the house numbers and the mailbox so the pictures would show the place clearly. Habit made her check the time and the light. She moved to different angles to avoid glare. Uncle Sam had always told her to keep records of cabin work. The lake is easy, he used to say. People are harder. Write things down. Leah smiled a little at that memory. She missed him. She unlocked the door and went inside. The cabin was simple and warm. There was a small kitchen, a tiny living room with a wood stove, and a single bedroom that smelled faintly of cedar. Leah opened the windows to let in the evening air. She set the kettle on the stove and washed a mug. On a shelf by the table, Uncle Sam's blue notebook still sat where he used to keep it. She opened it and saw his steady handwriting. Dates, repairs, notes about weather and bills. It made her feel calm to see that. She pulled out her own notebook and wrote down the time, the notices, and what they said. She listed her permits and the name of the dock contractor. She wrote, "Call HOA Monday, ask for hearing." She had heard about the HOA when she first took over the cabin. Lakeside Bluffs was neat and beautiful, with clean streets and tidy yards. It was also very strict. The president, a woman named Marla Benton, was known for detail and speed. Some neighbors said she liked order. Some said she liked power. Leah tried not to judge. She believed in rules that made sense. She believed in fairness and good process. When she painted the porch and fixed the dock, she had read the HOA rules, then checked the county website. The county said storm repairs were allowed with permits. She had those. She also believed the porch paint matched the original color. She had an old photo of the porch to prove it. The kettle sang softly. Leah poured hot water over a tea bag and watched the steam rise. Her hands were steady now. She took out a folder from her tote and added the new photos. The folder already held copies of the permits, the contractor's license, and before and after pictures of the dock. She opened her laptop and created a new folder named Cabin HOA 2025. She uploaded the photos from her phone, labeled them, and saved a scan of the notices. She made a short document called Summary, where she wrote what happened and what she planned to do. It helped to see it written out in plain steps. She heard footsteps on the porch and looked up. A man with white hair and a slow, kind walk stood by the screen door. He wore a gray sweater despite the warm evening. Leah stepped out to say hello. "I'm Harold," he said. "Harold Pike. I live next door." His voice was low and even. "Saw you arrive. Thought I'd check if you need anything." "Thanks," Leah said. "I'm Leah. I came to find 2 surprises on my door." She held up the notices with a small smile that tried to be light. Harold read them and nodded. He did not look surprised or upset. "Document everything," he said gently. "You already do that by the look of it. Good. Take your time. There's a process that should be followed. A fair one." "Do you know much about this HOA?" Leah asked. "I know some," he said. "They have rules. Some are helpful. Some are in need of better words. But the law is the law. They have to follow it too. You keep your papers ready. Ask for a hearing. Keep it calm." Leah felt relief move through her like a slow breath. "Thank you," she said. "I was afraid I did something wrong without knowing." "Repairs after a storm are different," Harold said. "The county permits matter. Keep those handy and sleep well. The lake wants you to rest." He tipped his head and walked back to his porch, where a small lamp glowed near a plant with tiny purple flowers. Later, Leah took a short walk along the gravel path that ran beside the shore. The sky turned orange, then pink, then a deep, soft blue. Ducks made lines in the water as they floated past. A jogger waved. "Pretty evening," the woman said. "I'm Lily, lot 22. "Leah, lot 19, Leah said. "Nice to meet you." They walked a few steps together. Lily lowered her voice. "If you get letters from the HOA, don't panic. Keep records. Ask for the hearing. The board listens better when everything is clear." "Thank you," Leah said. She meant it. She met one more neighbor, Mr. Torres, who was loading a kayak onto his truck. He pointed at the new dock boards and said, "That's good work. Storm did a number this spring. A lot of us had repairs. County was very busy." "Yes," Leah said. "I had a permit. I kept the receipts." "Smart," he said, smiling. "You'll be fine." Back in the cabin, Leah warmed a simple dinner and sat at the small table by the window. She looked at the framed photo of Uncle Sam fishing on the dock many years ago. He wore a wide smile and a hat that made him look younger. She could almost hear his laugh. He would tell her to keep things simple, to take the next right step, to treat people kindly even when they were hard to like. She folded the notices and put them in a clear plastic sleeve in her folder. She opened the HOA website on her laptop. She found the section about exterior changes and saw the rule about paint colors. It said you needed approval for new colors. It also said repairs and replacements in like kind and color after damage were allowed with proper permits. She highlighted that line and saved a screenshot. She found the rules about inspections. They said inspections required notice and consent, except for true emergencies like a burst pipe or fire risk. She highlighted those lines too. She was not a lawyer, but the words were plain enough. She felt less afraid. Leah drafted an email to the HOA manager. She kept it short and calm. She said she had arrived to find notices about the porch paint and the dock. She explained that both items were repair work and not new design changes, and that she had followed county rules. She attached scans of the permits, the contractor's license, and before and after photos. She asked for a hearing date to present her materials. She thanked them for their time. She did not press send yet. She wanted to review it once more in the morning. She tidied the kitchen, closed the windows halfway, and checked the door lock. The cabin felt safe and steady, even with the notices on the counter. She placed her phone on the charger and set a reminder to call the HOA office at 9 a.m. on Monday. She set another reminder to print extra copies of her documents at the little town library, just in case. She wrote one more line in her notebook. Plan. Stay calm. Be clear. Be kind. Keep evidence. In the bedroom, she pulled a light blanket over herself and listened to the lake. The water had a slow rhythm that made her eyes grow heavy. A distant owl called, and somewhere far away, a door closed. Leah let her thoughts wander to small things. The taste of her tea, the sound of Harold's steady voice, the picture of Uncle Sam in his silly hat. She breathed in and out and felt the day lift away from her shoulders. The night passed quietly. In the early morning, a thin light entered the room, and birds began to sing. Leah rose, stretched, and made coffee. She stood on the porch with her mug, looking at the soft color of the water and the pale sky. The porch paint looked gentle in the morning light. Not new, not bright, just right. The dock looked strong and safe. She took 2 more photos in the new light and added them to her folder. She checked her email but did not expect anything yet. She saved her draft again and closed the laptop. She decided to sweep the porch and wipe the railing. It was a small act, but it made her feel in control. Leah woke early on Saturday to a pale sky and the soft sound of water touching the shore. She made coffee and sat at the little table with her folders open. Today, she wanted to send a clear message to the HOA. She would keep it calm and simple. She would ask for a hearing and attach every paper they needed to see. She reviewed her draft email one more time. It said she had received 2 notices about the porch and the dock. It said both were repairs done in like kind and color with county permits. It listed the permit numbers and the name of the licensed contractor. It asked for a hearing date and offered to host a scheduled inspection with proper notice. It thanked the HOA for their time. Leah checked the attachments, permits, contractor license, before and after photos, and a screenshot of the HOA rule that allowed repairs after storm damage. She pressed send. A few seconds later, an automatic reply came back. Your message has been received. Our office will respond within 3 business days. Leah took a calm breath. It was Saturday. 3 business days would start on Monday. That was fine. The lake air coming through the window felt cool and steady. She wrote in her notebook, email sent at 7:28 a.m., attachments included, waiting for reply. After breakfast, she walked outside with a broom and swept the porch. The boards made a clean, soft sound under the broom bristles. She noticed how even the paint looked in the morning light. It did not shout for attention. It blended with the soft greens and browns of the trees. She took 2 more photos and saved them to her folder, noting the time and the angle. It felt good to do small things well. It made the bigger problem feel less heavy. At 9:10 a.m., her phone buzzed. She had 3 new emails from the HOA system. The subject lines were firm. Second notice, unapproved exterior change. Second notice, unsafe dock. And notice of fines. She opened them. The language was similar to the papers from the door, but stronger. The fines would begin immediately, it said, and could lead to a lien if unpaid. The words felt heavy and cold for a moment. Leah stood very still and let the feeling pass. Then she sat down and did what she always did. She documented. She created a new subfolder called HOA Notices, Saturday, and saved each email as a PDF. She took screenshots of the timestamps. She wrote a short note. Received 9:10 a.m. Same day as auto reply. Fines begin. Threat of lien. No mention of hearing date. She looked again at the rules she had highlighted the night before. The rule about hearings was clear. If a homeowner requested a hearing, the HOA should schedule one with proper notice. Leah underlined that sentence again in her notes. She decided to call the HOA office even though it was Saturday. Maybe there was a weekend line. The phone rang 4 times, and a recorded message played, "You have reached Lakeside Bluffs. For emergencies, dial 911. For maintenance issues, leave a message." Leah waited for the tone and spoke in a calm voice. She said her name, her lot number, and the issue. She said she had sent an email with permits and photos and was asking for a hearing. She said she was available to meet outside for a scheduled inspection with proper notice. She thanked them and hung up. At 10:02 a.m., her phone rang. The caller ID showed the HOA number. Leah answered, and a woman introduced herself as Denise from the HOA office. Her voice was polite but brisk. She said there were safety concerns about the dock and that site access would be required to confirm compliance. Leah thanked her for the call. She explained again that the dock was a permitted repair after storm damage and that she was happy to show documents and photos. She asked for a scheduled inspection with written notice. Denise paused and then said she would check with the board. The call ended in a neutral tone. Leah wrote down the time and a short summary of the call. She felt steady. She set her phone on the table and for a moment watched a small bird hop along the porch railing. The bird tilted its head as if it was reading the morning as carefully as she was reading her rules. The quiet helped. At 11:15 a.m., Leah heard footsteps and voices outside. She looked through the window and saw a property manager in a branded polo shirt and 2 people she did not know, each wearing a small badge that read "Committee." One of them, a man with a clipboard, knocked on the door. Leah opened the main door but kept the screen door closed. She smiled and greeted them. "We're here to inspect the property for safety," the man with the clipboard said. His tone was firm but not loud. "We need to come inside." Leah kept her voice calm. "I'm happy to meet you outside and show you the dock from the yard. I have all the permits and photos. For an interior entry, I need a scheduled appointment with..." "Notice, if there is a true emergency, please let me know what it is." "It's a potential emergency," the property manager said. "There may be water damage inside the cabin." Leah looked at the dry porch, the dry walls, and the blue sky. "There is no water coming in," she said. "The cabin is dry. Repairs were done to the dock after a storm, with county permits. I can show you the documents right now outside." The second committee member, a woman with a neat bun, shifted her weight and looked at the clipboard. "We were told to verify. We can't complete our job without entry." "You can complete your job by following the rule for notice," Leah said softly. "I have the rule printed if you'd like to read it. I'm happy to host a scheduled inspection. I'm also happy to show you the dock from the yard today." The man with the clipboard made a phone call. Leah heard him say, "She's not letting us in. Says the rules require notice. Says she has permits." He listened, nodded, and then said, "Okay, we'll wait." He ended the call and announced, "We've contacted President Benton. She's on her way." Leah's stomach felt tight for a second. She had heard the name Marla Benton. She had heard that Marla moved fast. Leah inhaled and exhaled slowly. She took out her notebook and wrote the time and the names as best she knew them, and the words "waiting for Marla." She also took out a printed copy of the inspection rule and placed it on the small table by the door. "While we wait," Leah said, "I can show you the dock from here." She stepped onto the porch and closed the interior door behind her. She kept the screen door between them, but her tone stayed friendly. "You can see the new supports and the new edge boards. The contractor was licensed. The county inspected after the work. They signed off last month." The property manager looked past her at the dock. It was clearly solid and straight. He nodded a little despite himself. "It looks new," he said. "It is new boards," Leah said. "After storm damage, the supports are stronger now. I have the inspection sign-off in this folder." The woman with the bun looked curious despite the tension. May I see the paper? She asked. I can hold it up to the screen, Leah said. She did exactly that. She pressed the document's header to the mesh so they could read the county letterhead and the approval stamp. If you need a copy, I can email it to you right now. Email would be fine, the woman said, but the man with the clipboard shook his head slightly, as if unsure about accepting anything until Marla arrived. Leah sent the email anyway, using the address on their badges. She wrote a short line. As discussed, attached county sign-off for dock repair, permits in the same thread. She pressed send and then opened her phone's camera. She began to record, not in a dramatic way, but in a clear, steady way, with the time and date noted at the start. She said out loud, I am recording this interaction from my porch at 11:27 a.m. I have offered to show documents and the dock outside. I have requested a scheduled inspection with proper notice for entry. The property manager saw the camera and nodded, as if he expected it. The man with the clipboard looked a bit uncomfortable but did not object. The woman with the bun kept her eyes on the dock. Leah's phone buzzed again. It was a new email from the HOA address, signed by Denise but clearly written in a hurry. Due to ongoing safety concerns, site access may be required immediately to prevent harm. Please cooperate with our team. Leah replied in a calm tone. She wrote, Happy to cooperate. Please specify the exact safety concern and provide the rule or court order allowing immediate entry. Otherwise, I consent to a scheduled inspection with notice. I am present and will show all documents. She took a screenshot of her reply and saved it. She added a short note. Asked for rule or order. No specific hazard named. Across the yard, a golf cart rolled to a stop near the path, and Lily from Lot 22 waved. She looked at the group, and then at Leah. Her face showed quiet concern. Leah gave a small wave back, then focused again. She wanted to keep her attention on words, not on worry. From her porch table, Leah picked up the printed HOA rules and found the section on emergencies. It said that the HOA could act quickly to address immediate threats to health or safety, such as active fire, gas leak, or clear structural collapse. She held the page up to the screen for them to read. You can see the examples here, she said. There is no fire, no gas smell, and no collapse. The cabin is dry and sound. The property manager looked at the page and then at the quiet, solid porch. He seemed unsure. The man with the clipboard made another call and used a softer voice this time. Leah only heard, Yes, we're still here. She's calm. She has papers. Leah decided to add one more layer of care. She called the non-emergency sheriff line she had saved from last night. A friendly dispatcher answered. Leah gave her name, address, and a short summary. She had wreck. The car stopped near the path, and a woman with neat hair and a sharp navy jacket stepped out. She walked with quick, certain steps that made the group by Leah's porch straighten up. This was Marla Benton, the HOA president. She greeted the property manager and the committee members first, then looked at Leah through the screen door. Her expression was polite but tight, like a smile drawn with a ruler. Ms. Khan, Marla said, we have serious safety concerns. We will need to enter immediately. Leah kept her voice even. Good morning. I've shared the county permits and the sign-off for the dock repairs. I'm happy to meet outside and show anything you need. If you need to enter, please provide written notice and schedule a time. If there's a true emergency, please tell me what it is. Marla's eyes moved over the porch, the railing, and the dry door frame. We have reason to believe there may be water damage inside that could affect the building's safety. Leah glanced at the sky, and then at the quiet floor under her feet. There's no leak. The cabin is dry, I can show. You inside after you schedule a proper inspection. I do not consent to entry right now. Marla gave a small nod to the property manager. He picked up his phone, then put it down again when she raised a hand. Another car pulled up behind hers, and a contractor stepped out, carrying a small tool bag. He was in his late 40s with a calm face and a careful way of walking, like someone who preferred to think before moving. He greeted Marla softly. She spoke to him in a low voice that Leah could not fully hear. Leah pressed record on her phone and narrated the time and who was present. "Ms. Khan," Marla said more firmly, "we must confirm safety. We will make a quick entry, have a look, and be out in 2 minutes." "I do not consent," Leah said, still calm. "There is no emergency. I have asked for a hearing and a scheduled inspection. The rules require notice." Marla looked at the contractor and made a short motion with her hand. He walked to the door and examined the latch. Leah felt her heart pick up a little, but she kept her voice steady and her phone raised. "Please do not touch the door," she said. "There is no emergency. I do not consent." The contractor paused, as if weighing her words. Then Marla said, "We have authority to enter for safety." The contractor took a flat tool from his bag, more like a wide putty knife than anything sharp, and gently pressed it near the latch. The small metal piece made a soft click. Leah repeated, "I do not consent," and stepped back to ensure the screen door stayed closed. She kept recording, her hand steady. The tool pressed again. There was a light scraping sound. A tiny splinter of wood lifted near the latch. It was not loud, but it was wrong. Leah felt it in her chest. Across the hedge, Lily from Lot 22 called out, "Is everything okay?" Her voice was clear, but not loud. The committee woman with the bun looked uneasy. "Maybe we should wait for the deputy," she said quietly to the others. The man with the clipboard shifted his feet. Marla's eyes flicked toward the road. "We'll just take a quick look," she said, as if speed could make the rules different. The contractor pressed once more, then stopped himself. He looked at Leah through the mesh and said in a low, apologetic tone, "Ma'am, I'd prefer to have written permission or an officer present." Leah nodded with relief. "Thank you," she said. "I appreciate that." Before anyone else could speak, the soft crunch of another pair of footsteps came from the path. Harold, the neighbor with white hair, walked over in his gray sweater, hands loosely at his sides. He moved like a steady metronome, not slow, not fast, just sure. He gave a small nod to the group and spoke in a voice that carried without force. "Good morning," he said. "I'm Harold Pike, Lot 18. I heard raised voices and came to see if I can help calm things." Marla's face changed in a way only Leah could see from up close. It was like a shadow moved across it and then cleared. She knew the name. She knew the man. Something tight settled in her shoulders. Harold turned to Leah. "Ms. Khan, are you okay?" "I'm okay," Leah said. "I've shared permits and asked for a scheduled inspection. I do not consent to entry. I've called the non-emergency line. A deputy is on the way." Harold nodded once, approving. Then he turned to the group. His voice stayed warm, almost like a good teacher explaining a lesson everyone could pass. "Friends, the rules here matter. So does the law. An HOA cannot enter a home without consent unless there is a true emergency, something clear and immediate like fire, gas leak, or evident collapse. Suspected water damage inside a dry, stable cabin does not meet that standard. And importantly, HOAs do not order arrests. Only law enforcement can detain someone, and only when the law allows." No one interrupted him. Even the birds seemed to pause. Harold looked at the contractor with gentle respect. "Sir, you are wise to wait for clear authority. You could be blamed for damage if you proceed without consent." The contractor lowered his tool and put it away. "I agree," he said simply. Marla spoke then, her tone measured. "Mr. Pike, we are acting in the community's interest. We have received complaints about unapproved changes and safety issues." Harold nodded. "The community's interest is served by good process. Ms. Khan says she requested a hearing. The rules require notice for inspection. The board can schedule a visit, review the documents, and make a fair decision. Everyone wins when we follow the steps. Leah watched Marla as he spoke. She saw a flicker of recognition deepen into clear memory. Later, Leah would learn why. Years ago, Harold was the judge in a records case where Marla had argued with a public agency about disclosure. He had ruled against her, not unkindly, but firmly. He had explained every line of his decision, and the lesson had not left her. In that quiet second on Leah's porch, Marla was facing the one person she did not want to face, a person who saw process as protection, not as delay. A patrol SUV rolled to a stop on the gravel pull-off. A deputy stepped out, adjusted her vest, and approached with a calm, observant look. Her badge read Deputy Ruiz. She greeted everyone, then looked to Leah first. "Ma'am, you called?" she asked. "Yes," Leah said. "Leah Khan, Lot 19. I received HOA notices. An HOA team came today and requested immediate entry. I do not consent. There is no emergency. I have permits and county sign-off. I'm recording." She kept her phone visible. Deputy Ruiz nodded, took a small notebook from her pocket, and wrote down names as people introduced themselves. She listened without interrupting as Marla explained the HOA's position, and as the committee, members mentioned safety concerns. She asked one clear question. "What is the specific immediate hazard you believe is inside the home right now?" There was a tiny silence. Then the man with the clipboard said, "Possible water damage." Deputy Ruiz looked at the dry porch, the solid door frame, and the quiet roofline. "Do you have a court order?" she asked Marla. "No," Marla said. "Do you have any indication of a gas leak, fire, or structural failure?" the deputy asked. "No," Marla said again, more softly. Deputy Ruiz's tone stayed friendly but firm. "Without consent, a court order, or a true emergency, no one may enter this home. Attempting to force a door could be considered property damage. I appreciate everyone staying calm. Let's keep it that way." Leah felt something unclench in her shoulders. The contractor let out a breath he had been holding. The committee woman with the bun closed her eyes for a second, as if grateful for the deputy's clear words. Lily, still by her golf cart, gave Leah a small thumbs up. "Miss Khan," Deputy Ruiz said, "do you have the documents you mentioned?" "Yes," Leah said. She held up the folder to the screen and then, with care, opened the screen door a few inches to pass documents to the deputy only. "Here are the county permits, the dock inspection sign-off, and photos. Here is a printed, copy of the HOA rule about repairs in like kind and color." Deputy Ruiz flipped through the pages, scanning the headers and stamps with practiced eyes. "Thank you," she said, handing them back. She turned to the group. "It seems Ms. Khan has done her part with the county. The HOA can still review under its own rules, but that review must follow notice and hearing procedures." Marla's gaze moved from the deputy to Harold. For a moment, she looked like someone standing at two doors. One marked, "Push forward fast." The other marked, "Follow the steps." Harold spoke gently, not to win, but to lower the temperature for everyone. "President Benton," he said, using her title with respect, "you can schedule a site visit next week with written notice and set a hearing date so Ms. Khan can present her materials. You can ask your counsel to join if you like. That protects the board and the community." The property manager nodded, grateful for a path that made sense. The committee man with the clipboard relaxed his shoulders. The woman with the bun took out her phone and typed a note. "Schedule inspection. Send notice. Confirm hearing." Leah, still holding her phone, added a brief update for her recording. "Deputy present. No emergency. No court order. Entry denied without consent. HOA to schedule inspection and hearing." Deputy Ruiz looked at the contractor. "Thank you for pausing. she said. You did the right thing. He gave a small nod, relieved. Marla straightened her jacket. When she spoke, her voice was steady again, but different, less tight around the edges. Ms. Khan, she said, we will schedule a formal inspection for next week with written notice. Our office will propose times. We will also set a hearing date so you can present all materials. Thank you, Leah said. I will be ready. I will bring the same. Leah spent the afternoon writing her letter with care. She used simple words and short sentences. She thanked the HOA for coming and for agreeing to follow the rules. She listed the permits, the county sign-off, and the photos. She included the time the deputy arrived and the clear note that there was no emergency. She added one polite request. Please reimburse the cost to fix the latch. She attached a picture of the small splinter near the door and the invoice estimate from a local handyman. She ended the letter this way. I want this to be fair and friendly. I am ready for a scheduled inspection and a hearing. Before sending, she walked to Harold's porch with a printed copy. He read it slowly, lips moving slightly as he checked each line. This is good, he said. It is calm, complete, and clear. If you like, add one sentence about your goal. Something like, my goal is safety, order, and respect for all neighbors. It reminds everyone you are not fighting. You are building trust. Leah added the sentence in her neat handwriting and snapped a new photo for her records. She went back to her cabin, opened her laptop, and sent the letter by email to the HOA board and to Denise at the office. Then she printed a paper copy and slid it into a folder labeled Board Hearing. An hour later, she received a short reply from Denise. Thank you for your message. The board will schedule a site inspection for Tuesday at 10 a.m. with you present. A hearing will be held on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. in the community room. A formal notice will follow. Leah wrote the dates in her notebook and set reminders on her phone. She felt steady and relieved. Steps were now in place. That evening, Leah walked along the shore path again. The light was soft and gold, and voices carried gently over the water. Lily from Lot 22 fell into step beside her. I heard about Thursday, Lily said. I'm coming. We need better process here. A lot of us have stories. Thank you, Leah said. I'd be grateful if you share your experience at the meeting, calmly, with dates and details. Lily smiled. I'll bring notes. On Sunday afternoon, Leah printed a small, friendly flyer and slid it into the community bulletin board. By the mailboxes, it said, Board Hearing Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Topic, Exterior Repairs, Dock Safety, and Inspection Process. Please attend to learn and to share clear, respectful comments. She added a small line at the bottom. Let's build trust. She signed it, Leah K., Lot 19, so people knew it came from a neighbor, not the office. People noticed. Mr. Torres stopped by with his kayak paddle still under his arm. I'll be there, he said. I had a notice last year over my garden lights. It took 3 visits to sort out. We need one good path everyone knows. A retired teacher, Mrs. Wong, waved from her garden and called, I will come too. I like rules that are written clearly. I like letters that sound like people, not machines. Leah smiled and thanked them. She kept repeating a gentle phrase in her head. Process is the path. It helped her move past the sharp memory of the tool, near her latch. On Tuesday at 10 a.m., the scheduled inspection took place. Denise arrived with the property manager and the same committee members. A different contractor came, one who worked often with the HOA. Leah met them outside with her folder in hand. The visit felt very different from the first. Denise began by reading from the notice. Purpose: verify dock repair compliance and porch paint consistency within original color. She asked, May we walk around the yard and view the dock from the lawn? Leah agreed at once and opened the side gate. The contractor walked slowly along the dock, touching the boards, checking the supports, and looking at the new edge line. He asked simple questions. Which boards were replaced? When was the county inspection? Leah answered with dates and held up photos. He nodded. Looks solid, he said. Safer than before. He took 2 photos for the HOA file. Next, they stood on the porch. Leah laid an old family photo on a small table, a picture of her uncle on the porch, smiling in a pale hat. The rail behind him painted that same soft green. The contractor held the photo next to the current paint and tilted his head. This looks like kind and color to me, he said in a practical tone. The committee woman with the bun wrote a note. Denise took a calm breath. Thank you, Ms. Khan, she said. We will put this in the file. We'll see you Thursday for the hearing. When they left, Leah called the handyman to fix the small latch damage. She paid him and saved the receipt in her reimbursement folder. She also filed a simple public records request number with the sheriff's office for Deputy Ruiz's incident log and any available notes, just to have neutral documentation. The clerk on the phone explained it would be processed in a few days. Leah thanked her and wrote the request number in her notebook. Thursday came quickly. The community room was brighter than Leah expected, with 2 long windows and a row of folding chairs. A sign on the door said, HOA Board Hearing, please sign in. Leah arrived early with her folder and a friendly smile. Harold sat near the back, a quiet anchor. Lily came with a small notepad. Mr. Torres brought a simple printed timeline of his garden light story. Mrs. Wong carried a yellow highlighter and a steady patience that seemed to glow. At 6:30 p.m., Denise called the meeting to order and handed the chair to Marla, the board president. Marla sat at a folding table with 2 other board members and a small stack of papers. Her face was composed, her voice measured. Thank you all for coming, she said. Tonight we will review Ms. Khan's exterior repair matter, and we will also listen to community feedback on inspection and hearing procedures. Leah stood when her name was called. She did not rush. She began with gratitude. Thank you for seeing me and for holding a scheduled inspection, she said. My goal is safety, order, and respect for all neighbors. She gave 3 short points. First, the dock. A storm caused damage. A licensed contractor repaired it. The county inspected and signed off. Second, the porch. Same color as the original, shown in the family photo, just a fresh coat for safety and care. Third, process. She asked for a hearing, shared documents, and was ready to follow all steps. She held up her folder and showed the top page only, a clear list of items with dates. She did not flood them with papers. She offered to provide any page they wanted. She kept her voice steady. Marla asked 2 questions, both simple. Do you have the county sign-off letter? Yes, Leah said, and handed over a copy. Do you have the contractor's license copy? Yes, Leah said again and shared it. The contractor who had done Tuesday's inspection spoke once. The dock looks compliant and safe. The paint looks like the same color. He kept it plain. Then Marla surprised Leah. She turned to the room and said, We would also like to hear from homeowners about their experiences with inspections and letters. Please keep comments brief and respectful. People lined up, calmly, in a natural rhythm, like they had learned this dance from living near water. Lily spoke first. She told a small story about a privacy fence panel that fell in a windstorm. She repaired it to match and later got a warning letter. It took 3 emails to clarify, she said. I wasn't angry. I was confused. Clear steps would have helped. She held up 2 photos and a date list. Her voice did not shake. Mr. Torres shared his garden light issue. He explained that the brightness was too high at first, and he appreciated the feedback. But the letters felt cold, he said. A friendly first note would help. Maybe start with, We noticed this. Can we help you find the rule? He offered a simple idea. 1 courtesy note, before a formal notice when safety is not urgent. Mrs. Wong spoke last in the early line. She held the rules booklet and a yellow highlighter. "This section," she said, pointing to the inspection rule, "can be clearer. Add examples of a true emergency. Add the words, 'with consent' or 'court order for entry.' Add a sentence about how to request a hearing. Use plain language. People will do better when they understand." Harold finally stood. He did not introduce himself as a retired judge. He introduced himself as a neighbor. "Good process is not a burden," he said gently. "It is a bridge. It lowers fear. It saves time. It protects volunteers and homeowners alike. Tonight I hear neighbors asking for clear steps. Warm first. Contact and written notice for inspections unless there is an obvious immediate danger. I support that." He sat down again, hands folded. Marla listened without interrupting. The room stayed quiet, like a classroom where everyone actually wanted to learn. A board member, a man with careful handwriting, wrote notes on a large pad. Courtesy note, plain language, emergency examples, consent or court order, hearing link in letters, office tone, friendly first. When the comments ended, Marla took a slow breath. "Thank you," she said. "First, on Ms. Khan's matter, based on the documents and the site inspection, the board finds the dock repair compliant and the porch paint consistent with original color. We will waive all fines and close the violation. We will reimburse the latch repair upon receipt of the invoice. Thank you for your patience." Leah felt her shoulders release. She did not cheer. She simply nodded and said, "Thank you," and sat down. She wrote the decision in her notebook with the date and time. Marla continued. "Second, on process, we will form a small policy group to revise the inspection and hearing procedures, and to rewrite letters in plain language. We will adopt an early courtesy contact for non-urgent matters. We will set clear emergency examples. We will require written notice and consent F." Leah woke early on Friday to a soft light over the water and a calm feeling she could trust. The community room hearing had ended well. She had a clear decision, and there was a plan for better rules and kinder letters. When she checked her email, the written decision was there again, attached as a PDF with the subject line, "Final Board Determination, Lot 19. It said the dock repair was compliant, the porch paint was consistent with the original color, all fines were waived, and the HOA would reimburse the latch repair. A second attachment held a simple form, reimbursement request. Leah filled it out, took a photo of the handyman's receipt, and sent everything back with one small line. "Thank you for the fair review." She stood on the porch with a mug of coffee and looked at the small place that had carried so much meaning all week. The paint seemed to smile in the morning light, not bright, not dull, just right. The dock looked safe and strong. A light ripple touched the edge boards and made a soft tapping sound. Leah breathed in the clean air and felt her shoulders drop, in a way they had not done since the first notices. She wrote in her notebook, "Decision final, reimbursement sent, policy group meets Monday." Saturday brought another good sign. A small envelope arrived in her mailbox with the HOA logo in the corner. Inside was a friendly note from Denise and a check for the latch repair. The note said, "Thank you for your patience and your clear documents. We appreciate your help in improving our process." Leah smiled and slid the check into her folder. She sent a short thank you email and added, "See you Monday at the policy meeting." On Monday evening, the policy group gathered in the same bright community room. The windows were open and the smell of pine drifted in. At one table sat Denise, with a laptop and a calm, ready face. Two board members took notes with quiet focus. Leah sat with Lily, Mr. Torres, and Mrs. Wong. Harold was there, too, his gray sweater as neat as ever, hands folded loosely. Marla arrived on time and took a seat, not at the head but at the side. She looked thoughtful, not tense, and she listened with care. They began with simple goals written in large letters on the whiteboard. Clarity, kindness, safety, fair steps. Leah offered the first draft of a friendly, first contact note for non-urgent matters. She read it out loud. Hello, neighbor. We noticed a small item at your home, example, a fence panel or garden light, and wanted to check in. Many things are allowed as repairs in like kind and color. If you have permits or photos, please share them. If you need help finding the rule, we can help. If needed, we can schedule a friendly inspection with notice. Thank you for taking care of your home and our community. Mrs. Wong suggested shortening 2 lines and swapping 1 word. Wanted to check in instead of wanted to verify. Check-in is warmer, she said. Lily pointed to the phrase, we can help, and smiled. That one changes everything, she said. Mr. Torres added a small idea, a reply deadline that felt gentle like, please reply within 5 days. Denise typed changes as they spoke, and the note got clearer and kinder with each pass. Next, they worked on the inspection section. Harold suggested an inspection promise that fit on 1 page. It would say what homeowners could expect, written notice, date and time options, the names of the people who would come, and a simple description of what they would look at. It would also say what the HOA could not do. We will not enter your home without consent, a court order, or a true emergency, examples active fire, gas leak, or visible structural collapse. He read the line slowly and people nodded. Marla added, and we will offer to review documents by email first, if that solves the question. Denise typed quickly. They created a cooling-off window for fines. For non-urgent issues, the HOA would start with a courtesy note and give at least 5 days to respond. If a real rule problem remained, a formal notice could follow, still with hearing information and clear steps. Fines would begin only after a hearing, unless there was a direct documented safety risk. Most problems are solved by talking. Early, Lily said. Let's build for that. They wrote an easy how to request a hearing box for every letter. Email us at hearingslakesidebluffs.org or call 555-0102. Ask for a hearing date. We will confirm within 3 business days. Leah asked to add, you may bring photos, permits, and a friend or family member. Mr. Torres said, I like that. It tells people they do not have to stand alone. By the end of the hour, the whiteboard was full and the draft documents looked clean. Mrs. Wong did a quick readability check, short sentences, plain words, large fonts. Denise suggested a small team to test the new letters by sending them to 3 volunteer homeowners with fake sample notices to see if they felt clear. Lily raised her hand to test. Mr. Torres did too. Leah smiled. I will test as well. Before they left, Harold made one more suggestion. Invite a guest to a Saturday workshop, maybe someone from the sheriff's office, to explain what a true emergency is and how we can work together. Denise looked up and said, I'll email Deputy Ruiz tonight. Marla nodded in agreement. The workshop happened the next weekend, the room filled with about 30 neighbors. Deputy Ruiz stood at the front in a clean, simple uniform. Her voice was calm and warm. She explained the basics. A true emergency is immediate and obvious. Everyone should call 911 for fire, gas leak, or visible collapse. For everything else, the non-emergency line is the best path. Communication is our friend, she said. Clear writing keeps the peace. Documentation protects everyone. Leah showed her 5-step checklist on a small poster. Deputy Ruiz smiled at it and said, This is great. Keep this on your fridge. People asked practical questions. Could an HOA enter a backyard without notice? Only under rules that permit common area checks. Otherwise, ask first. Could a contractor act on verbal directions alone? Better to have written directions. Written records help everyone. How fast is urgent? When life or property is at immediate risk, if not immediate, slow down enough to write clearly. The workshop ended with people clapping in a quiet way that felt honest, like thanks you give to a neighbor who helped you carry groceries up. The steps. The next week brought a letter to every mailbox with the subject line, New Inspection and Hearing Steps, plain language. Inside were the friendly first note, the inspection promise, the emergency examples, and the hearing box. The letter began, "We are a community. Let's solve problems in a kind, clear way." Leah held the paper and felt a small, steady pride. It was simple. It was respectful. It felt like the lake had helped write it. Change does not always come without a price. A recall petition still moved quietly in the background. Some neighbors believed the board had rushed too often in the past year, and they wanted new leadership. Marla did not argue in public. Instead, she sent an email to all homeowners. It read like a deep breath. "I have led this board with strong attention to detail," she wrote. "I also hear the call for better tone and clearer steps. Effective today, I will step down as president and remain available to help with transition. I support the policy changes. Thank you for the opportunity to serve." There were no hard words, only a simple end and a path forward. The board named an interim president, Andrea Kim, a neighbor who worked in hospital administration and loved checklists almost as much as Leah did. Andrea moved carefully and spoke, in warm, plain sentences. At the first meeting she led, she said, "We will earn trust week by week, no shortcuts." She thanked Marla for years of volunteer time and asked her to share any notes useful to the transition. Marla did. It was not dramatic. It was simply work, passing from one set of hands to another. Under the new steps, the first real test arrived. Quickly. A windstorm knocked a gutter loose at a different house. The office sent the friendly first contact instead of a warning. The homeowner replied with a photo, a temporary fix, and a plan to repair next week. The office wrote back, "Thank you, no further action needed." A problem that might have turned sharp passed like a small cloud. People noticed, and they talked about it in a hopeful way at the mailboxes and along the shore path. On a quiet Thursday, Leah set a small plate of cookies on her porch table and waved at anyone who walked by. Some stopped to talk about the new letters. Some shared ideas for the checklist. One older neighbor, Mr. Ellison, said, "I've lived here 20 years. This is the first time the HOA letters felt like they came from people." He took a cookie and laughed gently. "It's a good cookie," he said, "and a good change." Leah's own routines grew lighter. She no longer checked her email with a knot in her stomach. She took morning photos of the lake because she wanted to, not because she needed evidence. She wrote a final page in her Cabin HOA 2025 folder. Outcome, fair, tone, kinder, path, clear. She printed one extra copy of the inspection promise and taped it inside a kitchen. Cabinet with a note, "If ever needed, begin here." She kept helping the policy group, but she also protected time for rest. On Saturday evenings, she read on the porch while the water went from silver to deep blue. She sent a video of the sunset to her cousins with a laughing message. "The porch is happy." She made lemon tea for Harold and watched him relax as he listened to the soft water sounds. He told her small stories about the early days of the neighborhood and how people had learned to share a dock and a path without stepping on each other's toes. One evening, Andrea Kim stopped by to say thank you.